podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and The Pavilion with me, your host, Stephen Wallace. After a run of cricket podcast, we are back to racing today and Glorious Goodwood. I am delighted to welcome back young Australian trainer Henry Dwyer, whose mare Asfoora, the winner of the King Charles III Stakes at Royal Ascot, is all set to run in this Friday's Group 2 King George Qatar Stakes over 5 furlongs at Goodwood. Henry gives us an insight into the mare's chances at Glorious Goodwood, plus he looks back at Asfoora's unbelievable Group 1 victory at Royal Ascot, where Henry also met King Charles III. Hello Henry, welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Hi Stephen, good to see you again.
And to the UK.
And the UK. I touched down yesterday morning, so Tuesday now, Monday morning, 5 o'clock Heathrow, then up to Newmarket by 8 o'clock to watch Asfoora gallop, and then another week of eating and drinking and enjoying the European summer.
I was going to mention that. You've done it already. Any barbecues yet?
No, we're going over to James and Gay Eustace's place tomorrow night. We're having a barbecue there. We're going to go to Great Yarmouth today. We're going to see the races there and maybe stop for some dinner in Bury St Edmunds on the way home. So we're doing it. We're doing it well.
So bucket and spade out today.
Yes. Bucket and spade. They tell me you got to go and have fish and chips on the beach while you're there. So we'll put that on the list.
How is the King Charles III winner?
The King Charles III winner is very well. I obviously hadn't seen her since the King Charles III. We had a big day on the Tuesday there at Ascot, and then I was in London for the rest of the week and didn't see her, and then she had 2 weeks in the paddock up here at Newmarket, and so I hadn't seen her until yesterday, aside from pretty much in the mounting yard after the paddock after the race there. So you're always a bit trepidatious, I suppose, having not seen your best horse for a while, and you see photos and videos that Chanel sends through, but I just couldn't have been any more pleased when I first saw her. I just thought you have done particularly well, and she just looks terrific. So she's in great order.
What's she been up to since the 18th of June?
Yep, so went home, had a couple of days just chilling out back in the stables. She went to an agistment farm called Longholes, which is just down the road from Newmarket. She had, I think, 12 days just in the paddock and coming in at night, and then had a week on the treadmill and being in the paddock during the day and coming in at night, and then back to the stables. And she's had 2.5 weeks back in the stables of just cantering each morning, and she's probably had 3 gallops in that time. So I feel like she's probably a little bit underdone, more so than she was at Ascot. I reckon she's probably somewhere between where she was at Haydock and where she was at Ascot. She's, to the eye, we don't weigh her, but to the eye, she looks about 10 kilos heavier to me. But I suppose mitigating against that, I reckon she looks 10% healthier. She still had a little bit of a wispy, wintry coat from the transition from Australia to here, and just in the time off, and since then she's just absolutely glowing. She's got dapples all over her, and just looks absolutely terrific. So I think 1,000 metres at Goodwood being a very fast 1,000 metres downhill, I don't feel like she needs to be screwed right down for the race when we've got a main target 3 weeks after, and just still got a bit of freshness in her legs after a break. And I think she's right where she needs to be. She's
been here now for nearly 3 months, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be something like that. So, we were coming into winter in Australia, and she was just starting to grow a winter coat, and she got here and it was getting warmer again. So it was a bit of a transition period, and that's why we took our time before Haydock and then ran her at Haydock before Ascot. But it's all worked out well, and she's really acclimatized now. She just looks like a Northern Hemisphere horse. She knows it's summer. She's got the most beautiful coat on her, and she just looks terrific. So it really augurs well for Friday, then 3 weeks beyond at York.
Has O'Sheen been back on her yet?
He had a sit on her last Monday, I think it was. He galloped her down on the watered gallop there at Newmarket, and he was very, very happy with her. We haven't, leading into Ascot, we gave her 2 pretty solid gallops in the 8 days leading up to it, whereas this time we've, know she's got that good residual fitness from Ascot, and we just, as I said, don't really need to be 100% screwed down. So we've just let her be and given her 2 or 3, easy to medium sort of gallops and let her stretch her legs. But I think there's a bit of improvement to come out of Goodwood to York, but I think she's where she needs to be to still be very competitive.
Let's relive Tuesday, the 18th of June. I don't suppose you'll ever forget that day.
No, I've probably relived it a fair few times between then and now, Stephen. So one more is not going to hurt.
An unforgettable day for you and all your supporters, I guess.
Yeah, it really was. It was surreal being there watching it, and yeah, it was really, really weird to watch it and just think afterwards, did that really happen? It was just phenomenal. So it was a good day and a good night and a good week, and it's just franked the whole trip and been a real highlight.
Did everything go to plan in the race?
Yeah, perfectly. Just and that was the other surreal thing, that everything we wanted to happen did. So a lot of times in racing, we get bad luck, we get beaten the nose, we don't have the right run, and you feel dirty afterwards, and you want to go home and kick the cat or whatever. But just on that day, just it was phenomenal how right everything did go, and even in the lead up, how right. Since we've been in England, we've never had one little setback, we've never had one temperature, we've never had one missed grain in her feed bin, every bit of work. We've never had a hoof abscess. We've never had anything wrong with her. And just on the day, from the moment the barriers opened, even before the barriers opened, her behaviour behind the gates was first class, which is, at times where she can lose it a little bit. And in the gates, she behaved well and just followed the horse we wanted to follow in regional, and peeled out at the right time. And yeah, everything from the track condition to the draw to the run in transit, it was all just textbook.
Because you were in that small group on one side, about 6 horses, weren't you?
And we were told, before declarations, that we probably want to be drawing the stand side, and more so than that, you just need to be drawing around the better chances in the race of the speed horses. So regional was second favourite, and he was always going to be probably the leader. So just being able to draw outside him and camp off him was just absolutely perfect. We had to come inside him rather than outside him because he wanted to lay in a bit on top of us, but all in all, it was just a really, really hassle-free experience for her.
Thinking back, and we've said the mare's been here for nearly 3 months, was the preparatory race at Haydock crucial in the Royal Ascot win?
I think if we came again next year, we wouldn't need to do it. It would have been crucial for her if there was a little setback or she had a few days missed work or whatever, but we just gave ourselves the benefit of a bit extra time, and it was more for us to have a look at the races and her to get used to the system and the travel and everything. And I still think at Haydock, if the track hadn't have been heavy, she still would have been very competitive there, because it was only really the last 100 metres that she really knocked up. But with the benefit of hindsight, she did need the run, and we did have a bit of time up our sleeve, though, from Haydock to Ascot, but it did give us a bit of a sighter as to where she was at fitness-wise. And in Australia, we have what we call barrier trials or jump outs, which we use to sort of establish their fitness. So before most horses go to the races at the start of a preparation, whether they've raced or whether they haven't raced, they always have 1 or 2 jump outs. And that just, that's like a track galloping company out of the barriers that tells us how their fitness is. And that's sort of not really what we used Haydock for, but it had the same purpose in the sense that we were able to see that she needed a bit of extra work, which we gave to her between then and Ascot, and it all worked out well.
Now, you've won a race at Royal Ascot. You then get to meet King Charles III himself.
Yeah. He was good. It was I met him before the race, and then obviously after the race when he presented the trophy. But he was really easygoing, and Camilla was the same. They were very easy to talk to, and gracious hosts, I suppose you'd say.
How were the top hat and tails?
Yeah, good. They got a bit lost in the post on the way home. So obviously after the race, we all decided we were going to London for a few days, and we didn't get back to Newmarket, but Goldings in Newmarket was where we'd hired 4 or 5 top and tails for myself and Shiny and Simon and a few of the crew. And we were flying out of London on Sunday, and we couldn't quite work out how we were going to get the suits back to Newmarket. So on the way to the airport, we booked an Uber and threw them in there and sent them back to Amy Murphy, and she dropped them back in on Monday. So it worked out well. But once a year is good for top and tails, but I reckon the novelty would wear off.
But the overall experience of Royal Ascot, you enjoyed it, obviously.
Oh, magical. It would have been just an amazing experience if she had have come out and run midfield. It wasn't contingent upon her winning, but obviously that just made it, elite and another level, and it was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Your phone must have been on fire after the win, both from this country and from Australia.
Yeah, it blew right up. We sort of had 2 waves. So the race was, I suppose, midnight or 12:30 a.m. Melbourne time. So all the people that got up to watch it chimed in straight after the race. So I had a couple hundred messages after that. And then it sort of was a bit eerie. It went dead for about 2 hours, the phone. And then all of a sudden it started lighting up again when the people that hadn't stayed up to watch the race were caught up with the news the next morning. So it was just relentless, really. I had hundreds of text messages, emails, WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages, the rest of it. But I managed to get through most of them on the plane on the way home, which was good.
Was it an easy day for you on the Wednesday? You didn't go to Royal Ascot on the Wednesday?
Oh, it was a terrible day. We left the car there on Tuesday night because obviously we'd had a few too many drinks to be driving home. So brought a car into London and then had to retrieve our car from the car park the next day. And obviously we were sporting severe hangovers and it was quite warm. We had to battle the traffic to get out to Ascot by about midday from London, which was no mean feat. And then we had to try and track down the trophies, which we'd left there somewhere the day before, and then get back out of Ascot back to London. I was meant to be at lunch at 1 o'clock, and I think I rolled in about 4:30 after my geographical pursuits trying to get in and out of Ascot again. But that was the day. Wednesday, went out Wednesday night, Thursday races, quiet day Friday, Saturday races, home Sunday.
And you've joined so many other Aussie trainers, most recently Chris Waller, winning the now King Charles III Stakes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a race that Australians have done well, particularly well in over the years, but usually with horses that are, as I've said, probably ad nauseum, a little bit superior to Asfoora rating-wise and form-wise. But look, she did the job, and it really suited her the race, and it probably means more to me than it did to them. Put it that way. It means a lot to everyone winning a race at Royal Ascot, but they, guys like Chris Waller, Peter Moody, that have trained winners there before, Lee Freedman, they've all trained, many Group 1 winners, hundreds of Group 1 winners, and I've trained 2 prior to Asfoora winning at Royal Ascot. So it was pretty incredible.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Turning now to the King George Qatar Stakes at Glorious Goodwood, I've got a question actually from a Keith Drayton from King's Lynn, and he asked me, how do you think the mare will handle Goodwood's undulations, and is she better with some juice in the ground?
Well, I think her perfect ground is what you would probably call good to soft, a nice, good track with just a little bit of give in it. She probably doesn't want it heavy because it makes it a bit more of a grueling 5 furlongs. But I think undulation wise, she's been working here at Newmarket on Hamilton Road, and the watered gallop there is quite undulating, and I think she's getting pretty used to it. The uphill rise at Ascot didn't worry her too much, but Goodwood being downhill, it's probably a new experience for her, but I've watched the replays of it and they seem to just go hammer and tong the whole way. Half the field's off the bridle from the get-go. So her biggest attribute's always been her high cruising speed and ability to quicken off that at the end of it. So I think she'll come out and travel at least. And if they travel, going downhill, then, when they get off the bridle and off balance that they really feel the pinch. But if she can travel for as long as possible and just hold on at the end, I think that'd be ideal.
Lots of runners that were in the King Charles III Stakes running at Goodwood.
Yeah, there are. You've obviously got Big Evs and Believing, who finished 2nd and 4th respectively. They're the 2 others in the market that are given good chances. I think the form's been pretty good out of the race. Believing's obviously gone, and she ran 4th again in the Golden Jubilee, or the Platinum Jubilee on the Saturday, and then went and won in Ireland. So she's come on from it and probably has improved a little bit. We haven't seen Big Evs again. He's been set for this race as he, won this week last year, and we haven't had another appearance. But there's been 2 or 3 others that have come out and won from the race. So, the form's decent, and I can't see any other horses that we raced against at Ascot. If they maintain the same form level, I'm not sure how they turn it round on her, because look, she gets a 2 pound extra, or what she get? 2 pound extra, so a kilo extra in our terms for winning a Group 1 rather than a Group 2. I don't think if you put an extra £2 on her back there at Ascot, she would have got beaten. So I think all things being equal, she's going to be terribly hard to beat. There's, as I said, she might be a fraction less fit than she was there, but by the same token, it doesn't, it was a tougher 1,000 metres there, wasn't it? Ascot uphill rather than downhill, so she probably doesn't need to be as fit. She needs a bit more speed in her legs.
So every chance she could do the double like Batash did in 2020, winning the King Charles III Stakes and the King George Stakes.
Yeah, well, one could hope that the market sort of says that's a distinct possibility. I think she's, 5-2 or 3-1 favourite or second favourite in most places. So that's a good endorsement. And I certainly couldn't talk you out of it on what I've seen in the last 48 hours since I've been here.
Just before we finish, I've got a question from a listener, Desiree from Southcombe Stables in Australia. It's a little bit different from what we've been talking about, but she's asked, what do you feel is the best lesson you learned from your time with Russell Cameron?
Russell was a great trainer. I was with Russell very early on when I was 18 or 19 or 20. I reckon he was training at Flemington. He'd been overseas in Macau, I think, from memory, and he'd come back to train in Australia. Russell was a great trainer of sprinters, a very patient trainer. He didn't do a lot of work with them. He would have actually done very well with a mare like Asfoora because she's quite point and shoot and just needs to be kept nice and fresh and not overworked. So Russell was famous for a plunge he pulled off with a horse named a Glacier, who he got from Queensland and won the Standish Handicap down the straight at Flemington on New Year's Day. I reckon it was backed from about 20-1 into 3 or 4-1, and it broke the track record at Flemington that day on a flint hard track on New Year's Day. So he was a terrific trainer. He won a lot of Group 1 races. He's sadly passed now, Russell, but he was a good man.
He would be very proud of you as an Aussie winning a race at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now, you also mentioned that you're still intending to go to the Nunthorpe at York.
Yeah, well, that's if you'd believe it, that was our main target the whole way through. So I fully anticipated getting to this stage of going to Goodwood with a bit of pressure on my shoulders, thinking that she was, underdone at Haydock, and then Ascot. I was thinking she'd run well, probably without winning, and then be thinking Goodwood was the first chance we'd have to actually win a race over here, and everyone would have been calling me an idiot and whatever else, having seen the first two runs and thinking that she's not up to it, and this would be her chance. But so much pressure off the shoulders having won at Ascot and the rest of the bonus now. But if you think on the other side of it that this was our main target, this and the Nunthorpe, then it puts us in a pretty good position. So I still think there's a bit to come, and I think York's going to be her absolute peak, but certainly Goodwood, she could do the double for sure.
More jet setting for you then, Henry?
Yeah, over and back. It's once again the novelty's wearing off slightly, but you've got to do what you've got to do, and I'm just lucky that Chanel and Amy are here looking after her beautifully, and I don't have to worry too much. I just need to worry about the horses at home when I'm here, and thankfully in the middle of winter in Ballarat there's not a heap going on other than a bit of synthetic racing and a few wet tracks. So we'll probably have, generally we have, 7 or 8 runners a week at home, and I just try and limit that a little bit if I'm away. If they don't need to run, they don't. But it's certainly a good problem to have.
It's not normally as warm here, I can promise you.
No, they tell me this is a heat wave, the 27th and 28th, but I try to explain to people there that we get 39s and 40s for our heat waves, but it's just a beautiful heat here. It's there's no wind, there's no flies. We have a lot of flies in Ballarat, don't worry, and it's the first thing I noticed here when, even though it's a warm day, we don't get the flies, so I'm more than happy here in Newmarket.
Well, good luck in the 3:35, the King George Qatar Stakes on Friday, and hopefully Saturday you won't be having trouble getting your car back. No,
I'll have dropped that off, and hopefully Goodwood's kind enough to shout me a lift to the airport.
And no top hat and towels this Friday?
No, very relaxed. I've got the suit ready, the open neck and the loafers and the rest of it. So very summer garden party vibes, they tell me.
Have you got plenty of your supporters as well?
Goodwood's a bit lower key. We've got a few Aussies over here that are playing a bit of county cricket and that sort of stuff coming along, and a couple of my friends are living over here, but we probably got a crew of about 8 or 10, but I think we'll have about 20 or 30 back for York for the Ebor Festival.
Any well-known cricketers then?
No, nothing of any, nobody of any note. They're just backyard hacks having a hit around for the summer, and they'll be at the races with me on Friday.
Have a fantastic day, and thank you again for being on the Paddock and the Pavilion.
No, pleasure. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
This episode is brought to you in collaboration with Great British Racing International. If anyone is interested in finding out more about buying, owning or breeding in Britain, please visit www.greatbritishracing.international.com.
Sports Social Podcast Network.